Okay, good morning. It's time for another music video. I've read a few comments across the net about reviews, and they break down half and half. But I understand that many people don't really want to rank their music. I do it because A, I enjoy it, and also, as I've said before, it may point some people in the direction of this music that they previously were unaware of, or perhaps assumed that it was not worth much of their time. And for those that have enjoyed some of my material, they might think, well, if he likes it, let's give it a 5 minutes. That's about what I expect to achieve. So I'm moving on now. I'm on to 1998, and beg to remind myself this is 22 years ago, and I was firmly installed in Thailand at the time. And these are the ones that didn't make the frame. Angelique Kidjo's Arimi, I was a fan of hers by this time, and her albums were cropping up frequently. Human Being, third album by Seal, didn't think it was quite up to the first two. Eric Clapton's Pilgrim, as always Eric, some nice tracks, but as a whole album seems to fall short a little bit. Nuclear Sounds by a band called Ash, heavily loved by the late John Peel. A Nomad Soul, another African offering from Baba Mole, and then the triple album that initially was only available on the internet by Prince called Crystal Ball. So let's get into that top 10 then. At number 10, V2 by Garbage. This is their follow-up to a highly successful debut album, and I really like this album. The best tracks on here, from my point of view, were I Think I'm Paranoid, and I'm trying to read my writing now. The Something Is Breathing. So much for my notes. I hope you like the beard. It's not through choice, it's basically laziness, and the fact that here in Thailand razor blades are absolutely dreadful. Very few Thais shave because they don't create a lot of body hair, and so consequently there isn't a demand. So what filters in is of extremely poor quality, so it doesn't act as a big incentive. Let's move on to music now, lest we talk about my bodily frame. At number 9 is Mutation by Beck. This singer-songwriter from the States I started to really get into in the late 90s, and this one particularly, Nobody's Fault But Mine, was a standout, and I love the sort of up-tempo Tropicalia, which reminded one of being perhaps down in Miami. It had a sort of Latino reggae feel to it. That was Beck's Mutation. So up to number 8, continuing my love affair with world music that really took off in the 90s. I've got Trazos by Lila Downs, the Mexican Scot. She's made some beautiful music, and this one is no exception. Beseno Moncho is the highlight on here. So I suggest you get to listen to her. She's not just Mexican flamenco, she's far more than that, and of course she does sing some songs in English. At number 7, Nick Lowe, Dig My Mood. I didn't get this at the time of 98, much later, but he's become quite a fan of mine over the years. Freezing and Cold Grey are two of the highlights on this one. And then to number 6, Another Zone by Dr. John, courtesy of New Orleans, of course. I've been in and out on Dr. John throughout his career. He's an acquired taste from the point of view of his singing, but there's absolutely no doubt to his pedigree of New Orleans jazz, Dixieland blues, and you name it, he's been playing with them. This album brings in quite a few guests. The Party Hellfire and Voices in My Mind are the outstanding tracks here. And try and hear one Paul Weller guesting on guitar for a number of the tracks. Worth listening to that. We're up to number 5 now, and this is the Dave Matthews Band, Before These Crowded Streets. I tentatively went with this one on cassette to basically start me off on Dave Matthews, who I hadn't heard of, and I'm very glad I dipped my toe in the water. This is an excellent album, the first of many by this gifted musician, South African born of course, but came to the US as a child, and I think he's out of Carolina, one of the Carolinas. Anyway, on this album, it's very much of an eclectic mix of rock and blues and Cajun and lots of stuff to get your teeth into. Crush is a favourite on here, as is Don't Drink the Water. Right, we're up to number 4 now, and my yearly love affair with Van Morrison continues. This is the Philosopher's Stone. I haven't played this that much, but as soon as I put it on, I kick myself. It's a wonderful selection of his usual sort of Celtic mix of blues, R&B, jazz, and his wonderful vocals. Tracks on here, a wonderful remark, Twilight Zone, and Western Point, and get along to listen to it. It's wonderful. So it's free time now for 1998, and at number 3 is Car Wheels on a Gravel Road by Lucinda Williams. This is the first album that I caught by Lucinda. She's been around the block a fair bit, a sort of bluesy sort of country singer from the southern states, and she packs a bit of a punch, but this one really took off for her, and understandably I know why, because there's some really brilliant tracks on here. The favourites of mine were Car Wheels, the title track, and Lake Charles, but it's all worth listening to. That's Lucinda Williams. Up to number 2 now, possibly the last album that I consider to be of value by the Smashing Pumpkins. It's a follow-up to their Melancholy double, which I thought was fantastic. This is called Adore, and it still continues in that vein. Couple of singles on here. To Sheila, I Love. Perfect is a single which hit the radio waves at the time, and a beautiful softer ballady type psychedelic number called For Martha. And so that leaves us with the number 1 for 1998, and I've given it to Pulp, This Is Hardcore. Takes a bit of getting used to this, because it's not quite the sort of pop anthem that Different Class was, but there's some wonderful stuff on here, and it's certainly what I would consider to be almost all progressive. The title track's awesome, a lengthy piece, and then we've got Sylvia and the rather whimsical Dishes. So that completes this top 10 1998. As I've said before, I really do welcome your comments. Tell me albums that you have or have listened to from that year that you would recommend, and I'd love to get those comments from you, even if you don't make lists. And happy listening.